one.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Talking with the Source. With me, Robin from Halfern Paranormal and Talking with the Source, and our guest host.
I'm Johnny from Paracrypt. How are you all?
Yay! AJ can't make it tonight. Business is booming. So you're left with us two. He may pop in and out, but if he's wearing a dress as well, just ignore it. But bit of lipstick and all that. But anyway, we have a great show tonight, Johnny. We have a fantastic show. But just first of all, Global Ghost Hunt. Check it out. We're full up for May, but we are available for October. So please check out globalghosthunt.com. Are you ready, Johnny?
I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm super excited. And I'm really excited to check out the Global Ghost Hunt too and jump on that for October. I didn't really know anything about it until you guys mentioned it. So,
I actually forgot to mention it to you when we started talking for obvious reasons, because I was too busy, crying into myself and stuff like that. So
we sorted that out pretty quickly though, didn't we?
She is a hell of a... what do you call them? I forgot now. What do you call them? Oh my God! What's it going?
What counselor. Are you calling me?
Counselor. She is a hell of a counselor. But anyway, without further ado, let's bring Shannon Rogers on.
Shannon Rogers. Woohoo!
Shannon!
Hello. Hello. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm in a much better mood after it was fun backstage with you guys. It's going to be a fun show.
Were you talking to us backstage?
I don't know. I talk to myself a lot. Who knows?
I was just sitting there and some strange woman came in and I was like,
You got the strange, right?
He was having a vision. It was about the vision. Does it feel like deja vu now?
I know. Like we've done this before.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a question, and then obviously Johnny will have a few questions out of it, but it's the obvious first one. When did you first get into the paranormal and what happened?
I would say around 2011 is when I first got into metaphysical first. I realized that I was an intuitive empath. I just couldn't figure out why. Like I just knew I felt way too much, and I had no prior influence to anything along this realm. And I couldn't understand. I'm like, people aren't supposed to feel like this. I just knew it. And then I went to Scotland back in, I have to look at my tattoo to get the date, 2014. And I had a life-changing ancestral experience there. And that's why I'm going back in October. And that's when I started. It was more than just being an intuitive empath. I started, seeing things and especially shadow figures, hearing things, coming into my in-between, that place between laying down to go to sleep and actually being in a dead sleep. And then I went on my first paranormal investigation 4 years ago, and I have been just I was like, there's a place for people like us to get together and camaraderie. I was so naive, but so I just nosedived.
Normally they call that place an asylum. So it's like a virtual asylum. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just, I just love connecting with spirit, and it's just something I could never walk away completely from, no matter what. And, I'm taking a little break right now from doing my podcast just for family reasons and everything, but it's just something I can never fully walk away from and let go. It's just,
Yeah, absolutely. So, Johnny, you have a few questions, haven't you?
Yeah. So, first of all, sorry. Every time I drink juice, I always end up with frog throat. Yeah, so just basically, just to tell a bit about yourself, in the sense of, you said that you came into your gifts late. Yeah, like tell us a bit about your journey into that.
I mean, as a child, I was an empath and didn't even know it. I just, when as a very young child, when you go through a lot of trauma, and that's when you're still developing your mind and your true self and who you are going to be in this world. When you go through something really traumatic, I think it kind of makes you use other senses to kind of fill out the environment and the situations. And so I grew up empathic. I just didn't know what that meant. I just always have. But it was quite a journey. It was a lot of, honestly, misery, because I just felt so different than the rest of the world. I really, really did. I had social anxiety. I would practice, I remember being in high school, and before I would talk to, and I'm a social butterfly now, but in high school, and I would try to talk to people, I would rehearse that sentence that I was going to say. And then by the time I would open my mouth to say it, it came out all crazy. Because I knew what people were thinking when I would say it. I could feel what they were thinking and stuff. So it was just a weird thing that I just thought I was really weird and different. But, and then being able to, I was in Colorado, and I was a compliance officer in the marijuana industry, and on the medical side, and I had a patient come in, and she was my first mentor, and she's just puts her elbow down on the countertop, and she looks at me and slides her card, and she's like, "I was supposed to meet you." And I'm like, "Oh yeah," you're supposed to meet me. But, I read the book, The Law of Attraction by Jerry and Esther Hicks. And that right there, it taught me I got goosebumps just now, how to understand what energy is and spirit. I think you have to really understand what energy is and how it works. And, so after reading that, that's when I met Lisa. And she was like, "Come on, you're going to go with me to some meetups, some conventions, to some classes and stuff." So we took classes on past life regression. We did meetups where we would just learn. I went to a class on how to conduct a seance. And when we got there, they're like, "I bet you thought we were going to do a seance. We're not." They said it's really dangerous, but they did teach us how to open a portal almost and then close it. I've done a lot of just weird different training and everything, but it was to really start to understand what is going on with yourself for the first time, and really excited about it and getting positive feedback and support. And with that grows, that pineal gland starts opening up and stuff. So it was really interesting to kind of start going down that road. Hey, Brian. Hey, guys.
Brian Laverty's in the room.
Yes, he is.
Mr. Parapost himself. And Diana's in the room. Johnny, did you see that?
I did. I've just spotted her. Hi, everyone.
I'm having hot flashes.
So what you were saying there, Shannon, really is we resonate with that on most podcasts, because it wasn't really socially acceptable. When I say back in the day, but I'm even talking 20 years ago, if you even said, right, well, "Oh, I can see ghosts," people are like, and your parents would be like, "Nah, you're talking a lot of nonsense. Get up your room." That
now
kind of
believe me, actually. That's the cool part, is people believe me now when I say there's a spirit right there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Let me tell you the history real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember saying to my dad, I got a picture of a photograph of one, really, really good photograph, and I showed it to nearly everybody. I remember saying to my dad, "Oh, I caught one on a photograph," and he was like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "Look at that," and he was like, "Anyway." I was like, "No, not anyway. Explain it." And he was like, "Anyway." I mean, he wouldn't even talk about it. It just wasn't socially acceptable. But I'm probably the black sheep of the family.
I just had no clue that this world even existed. I really didn't. I mean, I lived a pretty boring, sheltered life. I mean, growing up and stuff, and we were pretty basic, lived a basic life growing up. And for the most part, there were moments in my life that were pretty chaotic and traumatic, but, as a child, but for the most part, it was just a normal, boring life. But I just didn't have that influence, that wasn't on TV back then, I mean, so I'll be 45. So growing up, it just wasn't around. It was never talked about. So I just always remember thinking like, there's something, I'm so different. I'm just so different. I've always felt like I was just different, but the connecting, I think that it was through my realization, because I think anyone can obtain the ability to connect with spirit in certain ways. You just have to get there. You have to open yourself up. And I think through starting the way I did, reading that book, and and then going from that book to going to classes and practicing cards, practicing doing all the different things, and actually trying to connect. It's like, like you can create these abilities or you can open them up, shall I say. You can open, tap into those areas, but
Do you think it's more of like a personal journey? I know that for me, I my mum used to say to me, it's just a part of your imagine, it's okay. But then do you find that as you've grown up, not knowing anything has helped you to learn more?
Kind of in a way. I was just, like I said, I just was oblivious to anything like this. I just thought I was just weird. And I was a little weird, a sweet little weird quiet girl. But yeah, I don't know. It's just really hard to explain what it was like as a child. It's, and I really, for the people that are natural born with gifts and stuff like that, that just always fascinates me, because I had to work on it. Hey, Jennifer, I had to build myself. I had to grow with it. So it's an evolution, I guess, And so it's always fascinated me, people that have known from an early age. I just knew I was weird. That was it. I connected. I tapped into, like, I knew when someone was lying as a child. I knew when someone wasn't going to come over when they said they would. I knew when someone's intentions were bad. I knew when I would say something by just feeling that person's energy and demeanor, I knew what they were thinking and meant, but I didn't understand that. I didn't wrap my head around it. That's just how I was. And I thought, and that's why I thought I was just so different and weird. And now it's like, yeah, it's a blessing and a tool. Weird quiet girls.
I can really, do you know what it's like? But do you know what it's like? Sorry, I think it's like Diana said there. You've always been treated differently when you would have claimed that you had something like that. People always sort of look at you differently, and it's like, why should it be? You could go out there and could be a world-class ballroom dancer, but you wouldn't be looked at differently. You know what I mean? You could go out there and be a world champion boxer, but all people are going to say is you're good at your sport. You're not treated no differently. So why be treated differently in this?
I just didn't know what it was. I didn't even have the first inkling that I might connect to energy or spirit. That wasn't even like in my thought process or my world. It was nowhere involved in there. So what are you left with when you don't have any bit of an influencing those thoughts to even, create, like, hey, maybe this is what's going on. So I was just, awkward. Awkward would be the thing to say. Because it's like when it's hard to, growing up with all the influences of being an adolescent and all the pressures of being an adolescent and being accepted and the social environment of schools and how cruel people can be. And then when you know what someone's reactions are to what you're saying or the way you're behaving or whatever, you know what their intent is very important. When you can tell by, when you can feel that just makes you even just more like, okay, I'm not going to talk anymore. But I didn't understand that. I thought that was a normal thing and that I just wasn't normal. So
you begin to look at your peers, don't you? And you begin to see how, just how differently they respond to things. Even just sitting in the classroom, you would begin to see how, oddly you would read the room and they just weren't. And you're like, well, how can you not see that? How can you not understand that? So I get that. But my question to you then is, what does energy mean to you? So when you are reading energy, what does that mean for you? How do you interpret it? How is it that you, how is that energy absorbed by you? Those sorts of things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Energy to me is like everything is energy. Everything in this whole world, atoms, everything, like everything is made up of energy. Your thought, love is energy. Everything that your thought process. That's why you got to be really careful about what you're thinking, because it is energy and you put it out in the universe. That's why you got to retrain yourself to be positive, which I have to do that cycle every few years, which I'm due to start getting back positive again. But energy to me is just, that's why spirit, it's an essence almost in a way. It's hard to even explain. It just exists. And that's what everything is. And we have all this energy vibrating and moving around each other. That's why it's, and so when someone's thinking something, they're submitting that, about you and their demeanor. When you put that together, that's energy. Like I know what your energy is saying to me. So it's just like I've learned to read people's body language without even knowing I'm doing it. I've learned to read people's facial expressions. I learned the way someone eyeballs turn, like a different direction. So that energy to me is just, it's a vibe, it's a frequency.
I get being the observant side of it, but like for you to interpret that, what is it that you do to read it?
I just feel it. I'm a feeler.
Yeah.
Not with my hands, but I absorb energy around me all the time. It's just that I'm connected to energy, especially traumatic energy, which is I'm more connected to traumatic energy. I'm more likely to get visited by things that are traumatic. But yeah, I just feel it. I feel it. And then it's more than just feeling. And once I feel it, I'm seeing it. I can visualize, like, I don't even have to see that apparition. I can see it without even being a full-bodied apparition because of the energy projected. Does that make sense? And it's just
100. It makes sense to me because I'm the same. But for anybody out there who is coming into their gifts or who has never or doesn't understand what they're going through, for me to be able to ask these questions, it's okay for me to give my interpretation, but for somebody across the world to give them a different interpretation as well.
Right.
It's really important for people coming into themselves. So that's why I was sort of just getting to that question.
Well, it's great questions. I like it. You're making me think, and I like that.
And it's something that we can all learn from as well.
Exactly.
Thank God for this community, because I tell you, you meet some great people on it.
Like Scotty over there in the chat. What's up, Scotty?
Scott C. Wilson.
I get to meet Scotty finally in October at the Fear Fest Paracon in New Orleans. So that's going to be exciting. I'm going to have to watch my leg, though.
The Fear Fest? What is this?
What?
He's intrigued.
Oh, no, it's actually in September. It's not in October anymore because I wasn't going to be able to go because my trip to Scotland was when they were doing the Fear Fest Paracon, but they changed the dates. So that's Scotty laughing. So it worked out. So I'll be able to do that and still make my trip to Scotland, because that trip to Scotland is, when I was going through all these changes, it's like, I need to go back to where it really all started begin. I was passed down. I know, oh girl, I'm getting the chills all over my body. Like, I know that when I was there, what I experienced and what happened to me out of nowhere, I wasn't expecting it, because I have, I think I'm almost right under 40% Scottish. But being over there, like, it was just insane. And when I was in Edinburgh, we were going to do a tour one night of the catacombs and all that kind of stuff. That was cool, doing the catacombs and everything.
Yeah, they're good, so they are.
Yeah, but, they were asked if they were any volunteers at the beginning of it, and you got the fog and the cobblestone. It's at night, and they're all in period clothing, and
hell yeah.
And so and we had some scotch, not too much, just because we're on vacation, and they asked for a volunteer, and I'm like, I got you. I'm your girl. And so I get up there, and everything they were saying that what they would do to witches is what I had happen to me in between, and that was the first time I had one of those moments in my sleep, as I said, I call that place the in-between, because what happened the night before we did the tour, we were staying at the Holiday Inn Express on the Royal Mile, and I went to sleep, and what we'd call a dream, I guess, is I had this like chihuahuas like jumping and like biting my fingers, but they weren't biting with teeth. They were squeezing my fingers so hard that my nails were popping off. And I was just like, what the hell's going on? And then, through the progression of this experience, then I was like, my hands were down towards my feet, and I was bent over, and people kept pushing me, and I couldn't make sense of it. This was the way I was interpreting in the way the message was coming across, but I didn't know that what was going on. And then it's like, the emotion of what I felt, see, I'm getting goosebumps again, was just, I can't explain the trauma and the heartache that I felt. So I mean, like when I was, and I know when like it's a dream or not, because I'll usually wake up going like, just, hey, Facebook user. I usually just wake up gasping, but I woke up so traumatized, even just something that simple, but I felt the emotion of it. I was kicked my heels so hard in the bed. I threw my back up against the headboard and was like freaking. I felt like I just went through the worst thing of my life. And then I woke my ex up and he was like, are you okay? And I explained to him everything that I experienced. And I thought it was a dream. So the next night when we're standing there and they asked for a volunteer and I get up there and they said, well, if you had like a mole, freckles, red hair, you were considered a witch. And if you wouldn't admit it, they would put wooden vices on your fingers and squeeze them until your fingernails would pop off. And this is what they told us. But I was looking at my ex and he looked at me and we're just like, what the hell? Because I explained to him, I was like, they're not biting, they're squeezing, they're putting, it's like my nails are coming off. And
that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, then they got to the part where like, and if you still wouldn't admit that you were a witch, they would make you walk this plank with your hands tied to your ankles, your wrists to your ankles, and they would push you over. And that's when I was like, I can't, I got the chills going. I was like, but that's when I got goosebumps everywhere. I love that experience because it meant something to me. I know that my ancestors, especially because they were from around that area, like I knew that they were speaking to me. I didn't really fully understand that at the time, but now as things progressed, but that's when I started having different experiences. So I'm going back in October for 8 days. And actually one of the McLeods is going, because that's one of McLeods and McCoy's is going to have an investigation and ask me to join on Halloween night in Sterling, where they would do the beheadings and the witch trials and everything. So I'm excited about that. But my purpose was to go back and go the exact same place at Edinburgh where it all kind of began for me in a way for it really started to begin. And I just want to say thank you. What will you have of me next? Like, so it's more of a pilgrimage to, I want to honor. Yes, I want to honor that and go back and say, okay, what else can you show me or give me? Because I'm ready to progress more.
Did you do Mary King's Close?
Scott. I'm sorry?
Did you do Mary King's Close?
Mary King's Close?
Yeah.
I'm going to say no. I went to the castle, but
if you on the Royal Mile, up near the top of the Royal Mile, because obviously you've got Holyrood Palace at the bottom. Well, up near the top of the town, near where the vaults are, there's like a little underground city thing that you can go for a tour in.
Yeah, I went down there. Yes.
Yeah, it's fantastic down there.
Yeah, it was. I was just like, and that was like before I was like, did any kind of ghost hunting or anything. Hey, Matt. So it was a really unique experience. Like I put myself in a really epic situation, especially from someone from the United States, to be in the World Mile, in the catacombs, doing all that stuff that at the time, like if I was a paranormal investigator then, man, I would have been like, check out what I'm doing. Like I would have been, it's kind of epic. It really is to travel across the country and to go do something like that from, your ancestral land and stuff. So yeah, but I'm going back. I'm definitely going back and I'm going to just like, I want to see what else they can show me, and I want to do it there and give my thanks and appreciation. So,
see, this is where I want to take Johnny when she comes over. Places like this.
I think like healing as well, healing your history as well, and healing that part within yourself, because it's obviously you've obviously reincarnated and hence your gifts follow you. So, I think that might be a big part of the journey too.
And I think my ancestors, I really feel like they showed me what happened to them. Or maybe it was to me shown. And it was just in the most weird, unique way. And like more as I evolve as a person, I know that was a message. And I'm going back. I'm going back. And that's Eileen talking about camping. Oh, I remember like 3 years ago when they had the worst ice storm in like the United States in the lower half, and everybody was like for 10 days iced over and stuck. Well, I took David Childers and Eileen Jones on a camping. We had planned it for a few months. We were going, so we were pitching our tent in snow. So she gives me a hard time about like taking her like in an ice storm to go camping. But you know what? We had fun, Eileen. You can't take from that. It's always an adventure.
Oh, I'm a big camper.
Spiller. It is David. Okay.
And you know what? Whatever goes, so long as you're going for the right reasons.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good reason to me.
Oh, it was fun though, because we had a bonfire and they were burning tires. Thanks, David. Like my lungs appreciated that. So this girl and I, Chris, we go to gather firewood as anywhere as we could. We were looking for it. We come back, they're burning tires. Breathing that in, I was sick for a week, stuck in ice and in a haunted hotel. Because after I left there, I tried to make it home and I couldn't make it all the way. So I stopped in the Jefferson Hotel. So it wasn't the worst place in the world to be iced in, but I was sick half the time in bed because of breathing that damn toxic tire smoke. But we had fun. We had bonfires and drinks. So,
oh, that sounds like a great event. Mine was -7. That's about as cold as I've had to go. No.
-7?
No, that was in Australia. You know,
oh,
so
nice.
that's we don't really get much snow there. It's not
you're talking Celsius.
Yes.
Okay, because I was like -7 camping. Wow, but I'm thinking Fahrenheit, which is whoo. So, because freezing is
what that would be Fahrenheit.
Well, freezing would be 32 degrees Fahrenheit is considered freezing. So to be -7, I was like, wow, you're a trooper. Like,
I felt like I was a trooper. I was in a tent.
But we had
a lot of activity. We caught a lot on film that weekend.
I like investigating in the cold. I did the Dumas brothel up in Butte, Montana. Probably the most epically interactive haunted place I've ever experienced, and I want to go back, but it was so cold. It was, I think, 6 or 7 degrees, and it was just as cold outside inside as it was outside. And man, but it was like I had my thermals on and my like big puffy clothes and my suit on, and I love investigating.
8 layers.
Yeah.
See, we're trying to get Johnny around the world a bit here. So obviously, at some point, she's coming to the UK to investigate with us. But when you go to America, Johnny, look up Shannon.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be good. I'm heading over. I'm hoping to head over at the end of the year, if not the beginning of next year. But we've just got so much that we've got planning and lining up. The list is growing.
There you go. Yeah. I haven't investigated much this year. I really haven't. I stopped doing the events with Paranormal Exploration of America. It was just too much, the traveling. And I started a really good job working from home, which turned me into a hermit. But it's like I won't go outside my door for like 2 or 3 weeks. It's not healthy. So I'm trying to make myself get out. But, I don't investigate as much as I used to. I mean, during COVID, I was investigating 1 to 3 locations a week. But I was like, oh, I'm on the road. I'm getting that. I got unemployment in the, so that was fun. But
there you are. You can look someone else up now.
Do I?
I said you can look someone else up now when you go to America, and then you can investigate there and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be good. I'd love to just go out and there's so many paranormal investigation teams that I just have zero interest in, and I think you'll probably understand with what we're talking about backstage, I just but yeah, I think I can resonate with you. You understand, things on that level. And so, I'm keen to do that. I'm really keen to do that.
Yeah, I just want to investigate with small personal groups that are put together, and I just don't have. I might join some public events. No big deal at all. I just don't want to have them anymore. And because the last couple of ones, I just sat in the back. I had to make some changes and take a little hiatus for a while, and reassess what is important to me and. What did
you bring from that? What happened when you went through that? What did you come out with that?
With taking the break and pulling back?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I think you get so caught up in the love and the excitement and the unity, the camaraderie, whatever. And I just got kind of pulled into this world that, when there are negative things that come up in my life, it bothers me internally. I really internalize things like that. And so when I would have negative experiences, it was ruining what my root core of why I was doing this was, and I took it so personally. So I just had to back out and really realign with what I want to do with my life. What do I want to do with spirit? What is important to me? So that's, I'm not like angry at the world. I just really had to start getting right with myself and, what my intentions are and, what, like I said, what matters. Like, that's why we took a break from the show. Jen and I just have so many other things going on. It's not a dead project. It's just put it on hold right now. Got a lot of family health issues and, moving and just a lot of different elements. It's like, I really, I've just got to make sure I maintain my core, which is my family, which is my personal, like my job. I have to take care of those things now as well. And friends that I've had for 3 or 4 decades that I wasn't as close to, that I kind of pushed on the back burner for a while, I'm re-engaging in those relationships that were always so important to me. So finding balance I think is really key, to find balance and just not to have too much anger about the way other people are, even though it's frustrating. So I'm learning to just let it be.
Yeah. I think it strengthens you as well. I know for me, when I get dragged down or dragged out or pulled back from, from certain things, and especially my gifts, even in the moments when you try and shunt yourself away from him, like, I don't want to deal with this, I'm not listening, I'm cutting myself off, like, give me a break. Like you do kind of, you do end up going through a series of cocooning. And we need to do that. We need to go through that in order to evolve within our gifts.
And also learning that, some of the bad decisions I made were, even though I had the best intent, were partly my fault for letting them happen, and engaging in scenarios like I did. Even though the treatment wasn't right, so basically what I'm saying is I vest my experiences a lot better. I analyze and really think about what I'm putting myself, situations I'm putting myself in, think with both head and heart, it's like, because I don't want to get caught up in
the hype of it.
Chaos. Yeah. I just went through something really bad like this last year. And it was just like, oh, the public just discord. It was just like, oh my gosh, I don't want anything to do with this, like, for a while. But now it's like none of that even matters. It's just I need to trust and love myself more, not, to be more cautious of situations I allow myself to get into. So I have, that it's half my fault.
Perfectly said. But I think, and also, when you're going through these things, the energy that you are radiating out, where do you find that puts you, so I know for me that sometimes when I will go through these stages, so my father just passed away last year, and I've mourned and gone through all of these processes, and then had COVID and all sorts of stuff, and like my health really derailed, and now I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, I'm good now, I'm actually okay. But my life, because I've been stuck in that headspace for the last year, I can't seem to change forward because I've been stuck in that headspace. How is that? Does that process, happen with you as well? How does that happen for you? How do you find you internalize and then it comes to fruition?
Yeah, even though I've been doing the podcast, like I still have been isolating myself from the paranormal community for the most part. I really have. I mean, there's no way to say it. I had to have some healing going on. So I'm still in the process of stepping back out, but with boundaries and limiting how much of myself I put forward. Being my true, what I put forward will be my true self, but just, like I said, balance, having that balance is so important. So I'm still in the process of, I'm just going to create my experiences instead of being like just thrown into experiences, if that makes any sense. I'm going to get to choose my environment and choose, what I want my experiences to be and put my intent towards that. So I just got to, I had to take a little break, man. I had me a little breakdown. I had me a moment.
You're fine.
I feel too much. I'm telling you. I'm like, oh.
Do you not find, and I'm going to ask this question to both of you, right? Do you not find that as you evolve in this field, your your, if you want to call it, intuitions also evolve, as in, like, people you would work with. You know, when I first started out and any random team came to you and were like, we'll work with you, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, we're going somewhere. Someone wants to work with us. And you'll work with all these different teams. And you'll pick up bad habits, or, you know, you'll get a bad name for yourself because you've worked with people who maybe fake stuff or whatever. And you know, but I think as it goes on, people will say, you know, well, we'll work with you. And you'll think to yourself, we'll see. You know what I mean? But whereas people will come to you and they'll say, yeah, we'll work with you. And you're like, yeah, all right. And then other ones will come and they'll say, the same one will be like, no. You can start picking and choosing, if that makes sense, of who you actually want to work with and who you don't.
I think that evolving for me is, you know, there's people out there who, you know, who will claim that they're experienced, you know, or you know, they came into their gifts quite late in life, and then when you go investigating with them, you kind of realize that it's just a delusional representation of what they want to believe. And then you've got and then you've got those who are like, you know, just who it's the quiet ones. It's the reserved ones. It's the ones who are just so petrified about allowing themselves to feel. You know, those are the ones that I'll go out with, because those are the ones that I like to help bring themselves out to flourish in their gifts, you know. But it's, you know, evolution in my gifts. I know that I have gone from being, you know, a ghost hunter into evolving into this completely different gift. So you know, that I go bush now. A lot of my stuff I'll do in the bush. I go and I'll Sasquatch, as you call it. I do all sorts of stuff. I find all sorts of things in the bush, like old sacred sites and stuff like that. But for me, it's evolving. It depends on it does depend on the energy that you can exchange within a team. And 9 times out of 10, I really just can't. It's not that I can't. I just find that respecting the authenticity of a team is very hard for me to grasp.
It's funny you say that, because it you know, one of the reasons I quit doing events is because I found myself sitting in the back. I'm never going to call someone out. I'm never going to be that person, because I'm not one to judge if someone's authentic or not. It's not my place. But it just got to, there was some situations where I didn't want to be a part of what I was seeing, because I couldn't vibe with it. But I'm not going to call it out, you know? And yeah, so I see what you're saying. It's like, I'm not like, I don't walk around with like pinging gifts like this, like ching, 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 you know, like, and throwing out energy rays and they're reflecting back and spirits whispering in my ear. I don't live like that. It's when they choose to present themselves or show themselves or tell me something, or, you know, it's just like the worst thing someone can do is go get in my face and go, can you read me? And I'm like, back up. That right there already just canceled any kind of like energy communication. It's invasive. It's very invasive, and it's not the way it works, you know. Not for myself. You can't force that interaction. And so like if I have something to say, or if I see something or whatever, you know, I share it. But it's not like I don't walk around like this guru of ability, you know, and like I just don't do that. It's just, it happens. It definitely happens. And the biggest thing was learning to trust. And I have a lot of people going, no, I think you're a psychic medium. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm an intuitive empath that have mediumship qualities, is what I like to say, you know, because it's just, I'm not one of those that's going to sit there and be approached to be able to read someone. Like Jen can do that. I can't do that. It's invasive to me to be approached. Now I have helped people through that process, but it was because what they were going through is always traumatic situations. I was able to help them. I like helping spirit. I like helping spirit versus helping humans a lot of time, because they get left in the dark, you know, and they need healing too. You know, energy never goes away. It doesn't dissipate. It just changes form. That's it. So
no, I do agree with that. And it is spirit, you know. I think Sam Thomas has just said, like it's not up to me, it's up to the spirits if they let me. And that is really, really true. I was sort of helping somebody before, like last weekend, and I was like, you need to thank the spirit that's come through, because without them I can't bridge the message to you, and if they don't show me, then I can't help you, so it is the spirit. 100% it is the spirit. And if they don't bring what they want us to, the energy, if they don't bring us the energy, the visuals, they don't talk to us, any of the ways in which they can communicate with us, there's nothing we can do. We can pick up energy and read it, but it's not always going to be as accurate without them coming to us.
Be an intuitive empath. Like I have. Okay, so have you ever shadow figures used to line my walls at night? Yeah. I mean, I've had to, and then if I go to sleep, then I'm seeing almost like if a kid did a drawing and it's a black background with neon lights as the drawings, and they're like faces doing all this, and if I'm opening a door in that in-between state, that means that tons of spirits are coming in. Like, it's always like, goosebumps again. If I'm opening a door and people are coming in and I'm welcome, I'm like, okay, you know what you just did? Like, you're bringing people into the experience. So I put all these boundaries up, and because I have had spirits on the show. It shows one time their translation of it where, I had something negative, long story, but you ever put your boundaries up so much, you're like, man, I wish that would start happening again. Like, I miss those shadow figures. It's just like, even though I don't, but I do. It's just like, sometimes you put your boundaries up so much, and it's for protection. But I do miss, because I had to tell the shadow figures, let me sleep. Like, you just stay lining the walls, like all the way around the room all the time. And I'm like, I need to work in the morning. Like, let me freaking sleep. And, and then it's like, you can talk to me in the morning. My sleep is important. You're not allowed to do this anymore. And it just kind of stopped. And sometimes I miss that, not in the moment when it's happening, but then as when you have an experience, it's always like, ooh,
yeah.
But I think a lot of the time the spirit has to have the trust with you. And obviously you have the trust with the spirit, because it might sound strange to people thinking, well, it's just you talking to a dead person, but there's still that trust there. That spirit won't give you the information you want if they don't have that trust with you, and vice versa. So it still does work a lot of the way like it did when they were alive.
Howard, you're a mess. Sorry, it's just so distracting. I'm always like, what is Howard saying today? Howard's my brother.
He's my brother. I sleep, just saying.
But yeah, I sometimes, and I'll go through times when things get really quiet for a while, and all I have to say is, man, I really miss that. And boom, something starts happening again. It's just, and I try to tell people, just, houses don't have to have someone that died there. They could, spirit is literally everywhere. Like, you don't have to go to a haunted location. It's just what we do because it's a vested place that we want to have the experiences at. But you don't have to go to haunted locations to connect with energy, to connect with spirit. It is everywhere. Sometimes when you try to have those interactions, you got to be careful. And I learned, do not do that at your house. Don't do it. Don't do it where you live. That saying, don't poop where you eat, or something like that. Don't investigate your own home, man, because I had a world of craziness happen at a house I lived in, and that's why I was on that show, A Ghost Ruined My Life. I had an insane experiences, and I almost just moved into another house that I know was active, and I'm like, that might have been a really bad situation that I would have put myself into, of just because some things you can't fix, and that's why I had to move out of that one house. Is some things are just out of your hands. You need to back up and go away. So I folded, on the show, it shows I was only there for 9 months or something. No, I was there for 2 years, 23 and a half months. And it just got to that's what drove me so deep into the paranormal field even more, is because I was trying to figure it out. But what I should have done is just move the hell out of there.
That's what I was going to ask you. Next, that was moving on to. Next was, do you want to tell the people who haven't actually seen that show what your episode was actually about, what actually happened?
Okay, so on A Ghost Ruined My Life, it's Eli Roth presented it on Travel Channel and Discovery Plus. It was a series premiere, season 1, episode 1. I look horrible in that thing. I was just, I'm still talking about like, I can't believe, even my daughter was like, Mom, they did you wrong. You look horrible. But anyways, it was about a house that I lived in. I was subleasing this home from someone. They called me up and was like, look, me and my girlfriend want to move in together, but this is a 4-bedroom house for $1,000 a month. You know, maybe you can just move in, pretend to be roommates, and you just kind of take over the lease, and the landlord will just think we're roommates, even though I won't live there anymore. And so, okay, well, right after I moved in, this person's brother had committed suicide, not at the location like they showed on the show, but that's when things got crazy because, you know, the person I was subleasing from had lived there for like 5 years, and his brother was just there. And it just, oh gosh. And I knew there was a little old lady there. I picked that up right when I was there. And she was like, this is mine. She did it all on her own. I described what she looked like to the landlord one day, actually. And he was like, yeah, that was what she looked like. Because I sensed the pride she had is I did this on my own. This was mine. And it was like a rural ranch style house and by the lake. It wasn't like the house they had on the show. My gosh, I wish I would have dealt with bad energy if I live in that house. But I don't know. It kind of opened up a portal of just negative stuff happening. And the more I tried to figure it out, the worse it got. I fed it energy. You know, I was a little bit more novice back then. So like I was feeding it, you know, just my curiosity, my, you know, acknowledging it with the fear levels of things that I had happen. Like I'm laying in bed one night and I could see then he was 2, you know, was he 2? Maybe 1.5, 2 years old. His bedroom was catty cornered from me, you know, down the hall. I could see his door. And in the kitchen, I had the Ventahood light on. So there's a little bit of translating down the hallway, a little bit of light translate, down the hallway. And I see just billowing shadow figures walking out of his room, which is where the portal was, walking out of his room and going into the kitchen. But someone would stop in front of my door and just stare at me. That was my first experience with shadow figures. And I'm just like I was horrified. I mean, and then I would see like there was like, you know, like a sparkler for 4th of July celebrations that they came out pretty quick. A fraction of a second, what those sparks look like is what I was seeing coming out in the blue and amber colors coming out of that room. And I was just like, and so I called someone and like, oh, this is going on. They're like, well, ask them what they want and, you know, try to cross them over. And I was like, I am not sitting down all these like 30 spirits. I mean, I was like, anxiety big time because like I said, it wasn't just seeing them. I was feeling this emotion. And that's what's, it's like, it isn't always just seeing or having these experiences, it's how it makes you feel, you know? And I was just like, out of my little boy's room. And that's where, my little boy's room, that's where I saw the brother that had killed himself. He was sitting on the bed in my son's room, staring out the window. And when I walked in, I was just like, I got goosebumps like crazy. Stay where you're at. You don't need to come visit because I'm talking about you, please. But I saw him there, you know, it was just, and so that to be in my son's room, and then things just started, something opened up. And it was like, the way I felt like it, I feel like it was like a central station for things to get to where they're going to go, like a stopping point. Does that make sense? And it was really weird living in that house because you never knew what kind of energy. I was laying on my stomach one time and I felt and my leg was hanging off the bed from like my knee below my knee down. And I was just about to fall asleep and I felt 2 wiry hands, like long fingers, grab my ankle and pull. And I'm like, and then things that were seen at the house and other people witnessed it. It wasn't like, 90% of the things that happened, other people were there. I got thrown out of a chair. Like it was crazy stuff. And I was scared to death. It was during COVID. I had nowhere to go. So it was, and my ex flew by night when we separated. My son's dad, we separated 3 months before our lease was up. And I left because I wasn't going to be in that environment anymore. Well, he flew by night on the last month, so it ruined my rental history. So it was hard for me to rent a place. So I had to kind of stay where I was at. And then the lockdown, trying to figure everything out. So I felt trapped in that house. I really, really, really did. So
I've lived in a house quite similar. We were there for 4.5 years, but had similar things. And the people that moved in after us lasted 9 months. and then the rumors started that I would walk through walls, and I was a witch and all sorts of stuff, and I used to do all sorts of lovely things in the house, but it wasn't. It was just there, and being a magnet for them, that the stuff was just off tap. But I'd hold birthday parties for the kids, and they would have, you'd get the kids come running up the stairs. Oh, I've just seen this and I've just seen that. And one of them described they saw a man. They looked out the bedroom window, and on the neighbor's house, a man was standing there with a decapitated head in his hand. And these guys are like 6 years old, 7 years old. And you're kind of like, probably not the thing that they would imagine at that age, Pretty sure they might have seen that.
They actually believe in what they're saying, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd be like, you don't see that, right? It's like, well, my son, literally, I pulled up in the driveway, and there's this app, what's it called? Marco Polo, where you can video chat each other and, just send videos to each other back and forth. And I was driving back to the house. My roommate was watching my son while I went to the store or whatever I was doing. And I was sitting in the driveway for a while talking, doing this video. And I looked up, and I see a little boy on my front porch wearing like a swim top and swim shorts, a little Hispanic boy about 2 or 3 years old. And I'm just like, I gotta let you go. I know what I just seen. And then all of a sudden he had his hands on this red porch chair that I had, and then he was just gone. And I'm like, what in the world? So I reached out, took goosebumps again, damn it. I go inside, and I'm talking to someone on the phone about what was going on. I think, was it Beth Allen? I can't remember who I was talking to, but I'm sitting there, and then my son is in the living room playing, and he's spinning in circles and like throwing toys in the air and laughing. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? He's interacting with that little boy. But then what got weird is he looked at me, because my son, I left his dad when I was 2 months pregnant. He had no idea what the word daddy even meant. And he just looked at me. He goes, where's mommy and daddy? And I'm like, yeah. So it's like, I'm telling you, I'm getting goosebumps like crazy tonight or today. It's not night to you.
He'll grow to channel then.
Oh no, he's like, we'll go to Waffle House and have breakfast. And he was like, why is that man crawling on the ceiling? He came in the bathroom one time at my mom's place. We were upstairs, and he opens the door, and I'm like, hello, I'm in the bathroom. He's like, why are the people from the other side of the mirror at the front door, and who's buried under this building? And he was like really forward. I'm like going, no, this is how he talks. And I don't talk shop around him. I don't talk about all this stuff around him. So yes, Howard, I'm going to be at Fear Fest. I was telling him that earlier, that I'm going to be a speaker there, and it's going to be a really good time. So I'm really excited. What are the dates again, dear? Because I know it's not October.
Yeah, so get your tickets while they last.
Get them. Oh man, I still got such a long day ahead. I took off Monday and Tuesday from work because my dad's having surgery, and I'm going to get some packing done as well. And guys, then send out some good vibes for my parents if you can. Having a lot of bad health issues, and it's like
there we are. It's on the screen.
There you go.
That's thinking perfect. On that note too, I just want to say good luck with all of that. You're on quite a big journey, for yourself and for your family, and going through these is never easy. And so I just want to send out my my well wishes and hope everything goes well. And if you need someone to talk to, by all means, just contact me. I'm good for things like that.
Well, believe me, she is. I was a sniveling wreck a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I just had to cancel a podcast or a speaking appearance at a podcast at the 2023 West Tex Paracon, and they were good friends of mine. But I just had so much going on, like with my car wasn't working properly, my dad having surgery, and it's coming up on the 12th, and I'm like, the hardest thing I had to do was message them and tell them, like, I just can't right now because I'm in the middle of moving. And I felt awful about it, completely awful about it. But it was just because, like, my dad takes care of my mom, but he's the one that's going to be having this organ removed and all kinds of crazy stuff. So yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into that. But yeah, any good vibes are welcome because I got to get them in tip-top
absolutely,
shape.
And you'll get them all from us.
Yeah,
definitely. And it's like anything in this community again. I mean, people reach out for each other where it doesn't happen anywhere else that I haven't witnessed anywhere else anyway. You know what I mean? And you don't go on telling sob stories to get people saying, oh, God love you and all. But you tell your story because you resonate with someone else, and before you know it, you then become good friends with that person, and that person's helping you through.
Yeah.
And then you go from that to then someone else with similar kind of problems going on, and it just sort of spreads out through. You get a lot more friends and stuff in this community than you do anywhere else, in my opinion.
It's just like a healing and compassion, isn't it? Like, and that's really you're in a world of empathic people.
Yeah,
the people understand it as well. The people can actually resonate where you're coming from. They understand where you're coming from because
on a different level.
In their journey into the paranormal, they've been through similar anyway.
Like my family, they don't get me. Like all my relatives and stuff, they're not mean to me or anything, but they just don't. I'm different than them completely. I'm more like my dad in Florida. And I got my spirit from him. I got, a lot of who I am from him. So I've never really lined up with my family from here. If I didn't look like them, I'd swear I was adopted. But like just who I am as a person is just so completely opposite. And I'm not talking about the paranormal field, just in general. It's so opposite of them. So it's always just like awkward vibe. It's still love. There's still love there and appreciation for each other, but it's just there's a disconnect, and that's hard, So
I think I was always like that until I found my people. And they do begin to present when, I don't know, for whatever reason the universe felt I was ready, but they do begin to present. And when you do, that sisterhood starts. And I've got them around the world, and for me that's really important because I've needed that. I grew up with all boys, lots of siblings, lots of male mates. I was one of the boys, because I couldn't resonate with too many people. But when you do find them, you do learn to appreciate yourself more, because I learned to then adapt to actually feeling like I was accepted in these social groups. So I find that when the time's right,
mm-hmm.
It will come, and you've probably already got your selected few, no doubt.
Oh yeah, I have. I definitely have my tribe. It's just I'm learning more of who my tribe really is.
That's what I mean. Like, and it's really hard to resonate with that, and to accept yourself in that environment, because you've been. I know for me, like I'm 47. I've spent so many years rejecting people. And we're all like that. We're all like that because we just can't trust people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mark, I'm out of Fort Worth, Texas. But I'm really out of anywhere because I'm quick to travel.
Gypsy in us, isn't it?
I'm just like, we're doing a retreat up in Colorado this weekend. I'll be there. Let me book my flight. If I'm able to financially do it, I'll spontaneous.
It's like I was saying earlier, just before, like I was, people through all these times, I started talking to Johnny and Diana, who's in the chat, and instantly I started feeling better because it was someone to talk to. And then I contacted you about coming on the podcast, and when I explained obviously what was going on and stuff, and you were like, "I've got your back. If you need a chat, just call." And it's like, I have people in the street I live on that wouldn't say that, and they seen 100 odd people outside my house and a funeral car leaving on the day that she was buried.
Oh.
And not one will turn around and say, "Oh yeah, if you need a chat, come in for a cup of tea," or something like that. But yet people online from the other side of the world are willing to give you their time. I think it's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
Feel the love. Feel the love.
I mean, you will learn that I'm a complete fucking idiot. But I mean, until then, just make your own mind up.
So, Shannon, where are you going from here?
To pack. No, I was kidding. Getting ready for my meal.
Yeah.
Where I'm going from here, I'm definitely, like I said, I got to make that little pilgrimage back to Scotland in October. Doing the Paracon at the end of September, and beginning of October with the Fear Fest with Howard Petrie and the gang. Let's see. Put the podcast on hold for a while. Definitely going to start it back up. It's just, there's just other things that really mattered more at the moment. So I don't know. I want to start doing a lot more, just going and sitting in a graveyard by myself or with one other person at night, or in the daytime, and just really not making a big production of some of the connecting with spirits as we tend to do sometimes, because I want to really start channeling and honing that back in a little tighter. And so I can really
evolve. You're ready to evolve.
I'm ready to evolve, and I'm really ready to focus on what the real true intent of why I love this, why I love doing what I do. I want to really make that a priority. So I do want to do a lot of just smaller stuff. And, then I love doing podcasts with people because I meet cool people like you, like you're my new bestie.
Not a lot.
I love communicating and getting to know people, especially because, people it's just a better way to get to know someone is by actually having a conversation with them. And so I love doing those. Even though I'll put mine on hold, I'll do the podcast. They're fun. I enjoy them. So
it is. And it's good to point. It's good to point people in the same direction, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you've obviously got a heap of stuff lined up, enough to keep your nose still in the game, grounding yourself, allowing yourself to go through that cocoon moment with your family, and then to come back out, with all new energies and new intentions and new strengths. So, best of luck with all of that from all the way from over here in New Zealand.
I want to go to New Zealand so bad. I was going to ask where exactly you're from. New Zealand is beautiful. I definitely want to go. It's on my list. There in Romania. I have a friend in Romania that it was actually my tattoo artist in Scotland. I got that in Scotland, and he was from Romania, and I became really good. It was in 2014, but I became really good friends with him and his girlfriend, and then they had a baby, and they got married, and they had a baby. So throughout the years, and they're like, anytime you go to Romania, you can have her flat in the mountains for free. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So when are you going to Romania?
I was gonna go, I was literally planning a trip because I took my daughter to a really amazing trip, and it was my son's turn. They're adults now with kids, but I was gonna take my son right before COVID hit. I was planning out a trip to go to Romania, and I was gonna take him, and then of course COVID stopped that. But timing is important, so I'll go when I'm supposed to.
Road trip.
I know, I'm always down. I'm like, where are you stationed out of? Where's home? And I'm like, everywhere, everywhere. So home. It's like, why haven't you bought a house? Because I don't think that's a good idea. Because I don't, yeah, my foundation is in Texas, but I don't see this being my forever home. I don't. I would move to Scotland in a heartbeat, but it's not that easy, So. You can make it easy. Everything's possible.
Slow down a little bit here. It don't need to be that drastic. I'm kidding. Scotland's lovely.
Well, I've been to England too. I loved it as well. It was just my experiences all happened in Scotland, so that's why I want to go back there and watch it. Man, hearing bagpipes, just something just lights up in me. I don't know what it is. I just love it.
Yeah, it does make the hairs in the back of your neck stand, especially if they're playing them properly. You get some of them standing in the street corner, and you're like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, the bagpipes and the cello. I love to hear the cello. I can just sit there and listen to that and sip a glass of wine or water or whatever. But I love the cello. It mesmerizes me the same way that the bagpipes do.
Yeah, definitely. So you will come on again sometime, Shannon.
Yeah, absolutely. When I kick things back up again, it might be a while, but it's not a dead project.
Yeah, that's fine. No.
Then y'all got
AJ didn't get a chance to speak to you either, and he'll wanna speak to you. And
yeah, how
obviously we'll have a lot more questions, and you two will be speaking a lot more as well in between then, so you'll know each other a little better.
Bestie.
But thank you very much, Shannon, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. And I know that Johnny enjoyed herself, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know,
Well,
and it's really good to hear the perception of other people with their gifts. And you know, like I tend to kind of knuckle right down to the heart and guts of things, as you've realized. And you know, and to be able to help other people, it's not just something that I can say to somebody. It's hearing it from another, you know, true medium. And it's really important, because there are a lot of new, you know, especially with the world and the children that are being born now and the new gifts that are coming out. And you know, for them to understand themselves as we never had that chance to. And we've had to learn within ourselves, you know, and had to go through the process. I know for me, I wouldn't know a lot of stuff about metaphysics or you know, quantum physics or parapsychology, all that sort of stuff. You know, like I wouldn't know anything if I didn't want to know about myself, because nobody else seems to understand what I was going through. So I had to learn.
right.
And by doing so, I evolved and my gifts evolved, and you know, again, the leveling up process. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which I think by the sounds of it is where you're at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, for people listening and watching, you know, it's really important, because without people like us, they're sitting in limbo still.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for your insight, because
Absolutely.
it was really valuable.
Well, likewise. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. And we'll do this again sometime.
Absolutely. It was fun.
It was fun.
No problem. But again, thank you, Shannon, for coming on. And do you want to just shout any of your stuff out that you're doing, or do you want to just leave it on hold for now? Or
You can go on my website, paranormalexplorationsofamerica.com. I know it's long, but that way you couldn't mistake it and get it wrong. Or you can get me on Facebook. If you send me a friend request, I'll happily accept it. Just send me a message. Let me know you're sending them, because I don't accept them like I used to. I deleted like 3,700 people like about 6 months ago. And I'm like, I want to know the people that I'm communicating with every day, but I will absolutely accept it. And, you know, the show, The Calling, The Forgotten Files, they said it's just put on hold. We were almost done with season 2, 13 episodes in each season, or we're halfway through, but just put it on a little hold for a while. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be around still. I'm just going to be a little different, but you can like definitely get a hold of me if you want to talk, become friends. I'm cool. I'm good. I'm not too mean.
yeah,
So,
no problem at all. Well, like I say, I appreciate you with everything that you're going through. I can resonate with that, and all I can say is, you know, I'm here for a chat if you need it. Johnny's here. I'm sure AJ's the same, and just, you know, I mean, we know what you're going through, so
likewise, you're going through a lot too. So yeah,
reach out any of us at all, and
ditto.
But we will keep in touch with you anyway. Have you anything you want to say, Johnny, before she goes?
Oh no, just I'm love it. It's been really good getting to know you.
Yeah, likewise.
So thanks for having me co-host.
Yeah,
thanks. I told you that.
We're building bridges, making connections.
You'll be co-hosting more as well.
I know. But,
hey, Mark, if you type in Shannon and then put my middle initial M, Shannon M. period Rogers, then it's a lot easier to find, because there are a lot of Shannon Rogers out there. But yeah, you put the M in the middle of it, and it's a lot easier to find me. So yeah, that Shannon M. Rogers. Sorry.
I just want to also thank everybody for watching and their inputs and their funny jokes. We've been entertained.
So again, we'll see you on here again soon, Shannon. We'll stay in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And good luck with everything that you have coming up.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again pretty soon.
All right, awesome.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
That was a great show.
It was good. That was fun.
You enjoy it?
Amazing. Yeah.
So you did a great job, and you're there to help out whenever, you know what I mean. whenever you want to come on, or if AJ can't come on, or if I can't get on.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. Like I said, with work permits, I'm good to go. Which 9 times
And
out of 10.
Diana says it was awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Miss you, Diana. We've got to catch up.
and Miss Diana, we've got to catch up.
She'd just be sitting there just going, oh, wow.
Yeah. She'll be like, oh, God, an idiot.
Yeah. We'll have to
Right. So what I will do before we go is, again, just want to shout out Global Ghost Hunt. Check it out. Go on Talking with the Source. You'll see all our back episodes on there, and there's a lot more to come, a lot more really good people to come. Check out Paracryptos as well. And you'll see a lot of Johnny stuff on there, and you'll also see her back on here as well. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's a farewell from me.
And we'll see you all again pretty soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.